Welcome into the DNVR Rockies podcast, brought to you by Strava Craft Coffee. Remember to use the promo code DNVR25. You'll get 25% off your entire purchase of that CBD-infused, deliciously rich, and potentially life-altering Strava Craft Coffee. I'm your host, Drew Creasman, the managing editor of DNVR Rockies. With me, as always, is beat writer Patrick Lyons. And on today's show, we wrap it all up, folks. MLB All-Star Week 2021 has emanated from Coors Field in Denver, Colorado. It is all wrapped up, Patrick. It is in the books. It's all beneficial. We'll get into all of it, all the details. We want to hear everyone's favorite parts, your big takeaways from the entire week, especially if you're here in the YouTube channel. Always a little bonus for those of you that throw us a super chat, of course. But hanging out live, we want to get everyone's reactions to all of that, to the All-Star Game, of course. But Patrick, first of all, give me a couple of top takeaways from you, just for you as a human being, covering and also taking part in and witnessing in person in this event, in this time and in this place.
Well, I've been pretty fortunate enough to take in a lot of real special baseball experiences as an only child of two parents who love baseball and a father who enjoyed spoiling his only son. Like I said, I've been able to do a lot of big things when I was younger, and even in my 20s, and doing things as a fan, and even professionally, of course, when we get to go to the winter meetings, and when I was assistant general manager with the Boulder Collegians, going to some promo seminars and just doing some great things and being around some great people. And a lot of those great people were at the ballpark in Coors Field. That being said, it was possibly my three favorite days as a human being, just in general.
Wow.
They were that fantastic. Last night I did not want the day to end. Didn't get very much sleep, much less than I'm used to. Of course, the adrenaline's coursing through your blood, so you'll figure it out. You'll make it work. And even by the end of the day, I didn't feel any fatigue. I started rewatching the game from the Fox feed on the MLB app, and I was like, I might just watch this whole thing. I said, no, get some rest, because I just simply didn't want the day to end. I didn't want the week to end, and I didn't want this special experience to end, because it was so unique in the sense that, I didn't anticipate going to the All-Star Game last year when it should have been in LA, obviously before the pandemic wiped away so many things. And that still would have been great. That still would have been being around some of the personalities that are at the winter meetings and being around all the great stars and whatnot. But it would have involved jumping on a plane and doing the ride service thing, maybe getting a rental car, going to the stadium, and then maybe having to drive and leave the parking lot to go to some hotel somewhere in LA. Who knows what that traffic is like? That's true of anything. But to be able to just roll out of my bed, jump in the car, walk across the street to McGregor Square, go back to Coors Field, do all those things, and maybe most importantly, know that all of our friends and our family, literally, figuratively, DNVR, your mother, so many other of our friends that feel like family, for them also to be there and take part in it was something else. It almost took it to another level, where it wasn't, look at what I'm getting to experience. It was knowing that all 49,000 plus people in that ballpark last night at the All-Star Game, the 49,000 that were also there on Monday night for the Home Run Derby, they also had their own story. So it really made it an even bigger moment for me, more than just my experience. It was something that everyone was experiencing at the same time, that I was just so happy for the Denver and the Colorado and the world at large, because it was a big event that allowed us to get back to being one, back to being a society after having to suffer for a year. And while we might not be entirely out of the woods, it just was this culmination of everything that anyone could have ever asked for.
Yeah.
Who's a baseball fan and who's gone through a difficult year. So 3 favorite days of my life.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
It was great.
I can't. How am I supposed to top that? No, but that's especially what you said there about the family, of course, as you mentioned, I was really happy to be able to share the experience with my mother, and she was able to go to all of the events and be there for all of it, and boo the Dodgers. And she got to walk right by Pedro Martinez at one point. That was very cool for her. And, just all these kinds of things. And that was really, on top of everything. And I will say, as a guy who's often been like, don't disparage the game. I know kids these days think the home run derby is super cool and the game is stuffy, but I like the game. And I will say home run derby stole the show as far as the events from the week go. It really didn't even end up being as much about the events. It really was the whole event. Everyone was there. And like you said, if my first time covering an All-Star game had been away, it would have been extraordinary. It would have been amazing. Nothing to complain about. But I wouldn't have, during all of that, been running into friends and new friends. So many people that I met who I've never met before from the DNVR family. So many reporter friends of ours that some of which we hadn't seen in over a year because one hadn't been a whole lot of reason to come out to Colorado this year. And there was that whole pandemic thing. And, so it's been a while since we've seen some of these people and just running into folks everywhere. And I stopped by, actually. I don't know if you got a chance to talk to Davis on your way out. Usher up there, kind of around the area, and I was heading down, and he's a big time listener to the show and has often participated in these lives when he's been able to. And, I was just talking to him about no fights in the stands, no people getting out of control, no issues, just everyone being good to each other up and around their areas and everything that was going on. I talked to a couple of security people, same story. And just like seeing everybody there. And that for me too, also the reason I brought up Davis, the ushers and the security people and the people that make Coors Field go that we see every day. I was reminded of how special it was for them, the grounds crew, obviously, and the extraordinary work that they put in. But really for all of those people who, remember, collectively put this together in 3 months. I mean, we knew it was coming here relatively soon. And so that there were some preparations as part of the reason why it came to Denver. But the work that they did to pull all of this together and create as close to a seamlessly run event that had a massive attendance is just the tip of the cap. They're the draft kings of the game. I don't know if we do draft king of the game for the All-Star game. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., talk about him in a minute, MVP. Draft kings of the game are all the people that make Coors Field work. And McGregor Square and the surrounding facilities. They were fantastic.
And the volunteers, there were thousands of volunteers that got together and were over at the convention center for Play Ball Park, which is, again, this other half of the experience that you worry isn't going to, come to fruition when you have to schedule something in such a short amount of time when you typically need years is, for the 49,000 people that were in the ballpark last night and Monday night, there were hundreds of thousands in the entire state that didn't get to go to that, but maybe were able to experience something over at the convention center. And all the boys and girls and the children at the Boys and Girls Club in Denver who, benefited from some new fields that are going in and around Denver. So there's all of this impact that goes beyond just selling some poorly stylized jerseys and things of that nature, but it's so much more that went into it, and it really was, there really is no such thing as perfection, so we know that. Right. That being said, it really was perfect.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of blown away, even as somebody who, obviously, was very positive on the idea of the game coming here and what it was going to do for the community and all of that. I still couldn't help but kind of stand around and take it all in and note every person under the age of 12 who was wearing a jersey and is the next Fernando Tatis Jr. or the little kids wearing Marquez jersey. And there were a lot of them,
What about the next Drew Creasman and the next Patrick Lyons, like the next fan that says, hey, maybe I can make a career out of this. Maybe I could turn my passion into a lifestyle. Maybe there's that possibility, or maybe I'm, it turns someone who didn't really know too much about baseball, but was really taken up in the whole spectacle of what it means to follow this game that we love. And it was special. Very special.
Was really, really, really special. And so you got to tip your cap to all involved. And speaking of that, could even help people learn to read, man. Walked over to the tattered cover. They had all their baseball books out there. So you got young kids fall in love with the game of baseball. They want to learn a little something about it. A little book on the game of baseball right out there. The largest collection of baseball books ever, they told me.
We got to get to the game, but I know you got some baseball books. You didn't get a chance to tell me what did you end up getting? What did mom end up getting?
So mom had a recent birthday. She turned 33 and got her a couple of baseball books. One on Buck O'Neil. Now she has the book that Buck O'Neil wrote. This is by an author. I'm going to mess this up now. Joe Pashansky, I want to say.
That's the name. Yeah, I know that. I know Joe.
And this was on the recommendation of the guy that I was half talking to about baseball books and half interviewing, because I was very curious about everything that was going on. He says it is the best Buck O'Neil book. She's gone off with them. She has taken them away from me this morning, so I don't have them in front of me here. And then the other one, I'll see if I can get the title right from memory. I believe it's called The Four Men and the World Series That Changed Baseball Forever. Something close to that. And it's kind of about the early day black players who weren't Jackie Robinson. I think Larry Doby, Hank Aaron, and two others, and I can't. I'd have to look.
Satchel Paige and Bill Veeck. I actually heard an interview recently with the author Luke Epplin.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that was a Saber publication, but yeah, I'd recently heard that. Again, all Cleveland guys. So if you're from the Midwest, that's definitely something. Looking at that period in the 1940s, the interview sounded great with the author, so that sounds good. And yeah, anything on Buck O'Neil is right, and there's not that much out there. There's only two books that I know of: The Soul of Baseball, Road Trip Through Buck O'Neil's America, and that was Joe Posnanski. That's the one. And then the Buck O'Neil autobiography of I Was Right on Time, which is bonkers to think that was his takeaway.
Was
and
his thing, man.
He was a legend. So those are some good ones. And Drew Goodman's books over there. I think there's a couple signed copies. They had a couple people over there on the Saturday doing different signings and doing some great stuff. So all that's still going to be there. I mean, some of those books, maybe they end up shipping them out or putting them in storage, but a lot of those signed baseball copy books, because again, there was anyone who works for a major publication, they were in Denver this past week, so a lot of good signed copies.
We did not buy, but we're very intrigued by, and I'll probably go back and get Catcher Was a Spy.
Yeah, the great story of Mo Berg. It's I've never actually read that book, and that's it's kind of a classic. Like it should probably be read by just about anyone. Mo Berg was an interesting character. Got to see the documentary that was made all about him and his life, and got to meet the director at Saber Convention in San Diego. And they actually they turned that into a film too. I think it was Paul Rudd.
That's right.
I think Paul Rudd played Mo Berg, who was like baseball, although he was a professional and was great at it, a great catcher. That was the least interesting thing about this man. No joke. So you should put that at the top of your list, and as should I. And actually follow through and read it.
Right. Going back for sure. So really, really fantastic stuff. We toast our Breck Brews and our Breck Celtics on this day to everyone involved who made that thing work. Like you mentioned, literally thousands of people involved in making everyone who came have a great time, except Astros fans, because they didn't have any players in the game and their mascot got booed. But everybody else had I
saw one Alex Bregman jersey, and that was it.
I'm going to say I saw a couple. So shout outs to our guy Oliver, listener a season ticket holder who he had a goal of going around and getting a picture taken with a fan of every single team.
Oh, that is brilliant. I love that idea. Oh, that's so good.
Isn't that awesome? But
that was great.
The difficulty by saying he can't just get a picture with a Rockies fan. That's too easy. He knows a bunch of Rockies fans. He had to get a picture with a Rockies player. It's like, dude,
even better.
That's a challenge. So the hardest thing was he was wearing a Houston Asterix shirt. So he's like, but I got to find a Houston Astros fan who's here at the game where there are no Astros on purpose. And then he's got to be a good enough, or she good enough, natured
Orbit. Did Oliver get one with Orbit?
Found some dude.
Wow, that's great.
Some guy. He sent me the picture of him with the Astros fan. But I don't know. We were trying to see if Spilly could come out and find him somewhere and take a picture. I was like, how are we going to get around this player?
It's almost akin to if you ran into a Padres fan at an event like an All-Star Game, or it's like Comic-Con for baseball. It's a baseball convention.
Yeah,
is what it is. And if you saw like a Padres fan that said, Holiday didn't touch home plate, you'd laugh, and again in a jovial spirit, you take a photograph. You go, that's fine, and you say, hey, let me buy you a Breck Brew, Breck Seltzer, whatever it is. You have a quick little laugh, you walk away, and then you talk trash about them, as soon as you walk away. But you take the photo and you get it.
It was cool being on a couple of people's bingo cards, seeing people sending out pictures. Like they took pictures with me and Jake and John Boy and Chris Rose and Harold Reynolds. I'm like, hey, okay, I'll be in that lineup. I can bat eighth in that lineup. Bunt guys over, move some stuff, maybe come in off the bench, do a little base running on that team. But we do toast our Breck Seltzies and beers to everyone who made it work. You can get a bigger Breck Seltzy or beer down at the DNVR bar if you're a member of the family. Do subscribe today. You'll get access to all that written content, bunch of stuff over the last couple of days, taking you inside of all the things being talked about down there. Gonna have some poetic insight for you on just a personal takeaway, and then I've got a few fun little, I'll save that, but I got some fun ideas for you on that. You got to subscribe to the DNVR.com. We're eventually going to get around to draft coverage as well. But if you're a subscriber to the DNVR.com, this is what's great about this. You've got a shortcut. You've got a gateway. You can go right into the Discord channel, go into the Rockies channel, can read all of AJ's responses. It's like a perfect preview. It's fantastic stuff. You get all kinds of great stuff for subscribing. So do that today at the DNVR.com. And one of the things that you do, of course, when you're a member of the DNVR family, is you make some bets on the DraftKings Sportsbook. Hopefully, you all did well on your bets out there over the last week. Those of you that had Pete Alonso, that had had the under, certainly in the game, we'll get around to that. Sadly, for my picks, the over on the distance. Have we remeasured that Soto homer yet? I don't know. But still, DraftKings Sportsbook, always making it a whole lot more fun, turning moments like that into a, oh, wow, or you got me kind of moment. It really is a lot of fun. Get on the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. They got all kinds of fantastic promos, including when you use the promo code DNVR, that is, you can turn $1 into $150 in free credits just by betting on the basketball team of your choice to win their next game. If they do, you will claim $150 in free credits. It's promo code DNVR for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. Colorado only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700.
Well, let's get to the actual game itself. Not quite as many fireworks as we saw after the game, which was fantastic.
Right.
Not as many fireworks as the home run derby, and not as much action as the original edition in 1998. More of a low-scoring affair. 5-2 win by the American League, their 8th consecutive win over the National League. Doesn't matter if this game counts, quote unquote, or this game is an exhibition.
Right.
American League, seems to have the juice. It doesn't necessarily mean much of anything. It's fun. It does. I mean, the American League, did have the better roster overall, and they ended up winning the ball game, and Shohei Ohtani got the win. And one of the biggest, it was best. It was fantastic. One of the things that was popping around social media was the starting pitcher, the leadoff batter, the DH. One of the top vote getters was Japanese. He wins the ball game, and the guy who wins the MVP, plays for the team up in Canada, the Toronto Blue Jays, and he's from the Dominican Republic. And the guy who closes the game out for the American League, Liam Hendricks, is from Australia. And yes, it's a world game. Not as much of the world as we'd probably like. Soccer is truly more of a world game, and everything that MLB is trying to do with the World Baseball Classic is, I think it's starting to expand the game, but it's something that's going to take decades, so that we do have people from many more countries, like Europe. Like, there's not very many European players, let's face it.
Right.
But it was just great that kind of those key names that pop out weren't just American ball players. It was it was representative of the entire world, and that's really what you want when the world is watching you for the All-Star game.
And when you want to grow the game, and ultimately the best thing for baseball is to have all the best athletes in the world want to play baseball and grow up loving baseball and creating that competition and getting more and more of these types of guys in the game. And so, these guys like Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Shohei Ohtani, super athletes, completely different kinds of super athletes, but those guys are potentially game shifting type players, and that they come from elsewhere is a major bonus and not some anything to feel weird about. We see you, Stephen A. It's just it's me. I couldn't help but no. Vladdy using his translator after the game. It's a beautiful thing. Baseball's a universal language. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. spoke just fine for himself when he drove that ball. It's one thing to do it when they're letting you do it. I thought it was kind of funny. He declined to participate in the Derby after going neck and neck with Alonso last year. Then he put on a show in batting practice. And I was like, man, I see you. I see what you're doing.
A lot of placatas. Yeah.
And then he got one in the game. He's like,
he did something in every at bat.
I just let me come out here and do it when they're not letting me do it. I hit home runs when they're trying to get me out. Man, how about that?
Yeah, his first plate appearance, was in the scorebook. It looks like it was a 4-3 ground ball to the second baseman. But Frazier had to make a nice play on it, nearly decapitated Max Scherzer. He hit 111 miles per hour. The home run, 468 to left field, 110 miles an hour. So he didn't get as good of wood on it, but it did translate. And then his third at bat, he drove in his teammate Teoscar Hernandez and got an RBI. So he earns the MVP award, known as the Ted Williams Award for a guy when that game meant something. It didn't mean anything as far as home field advantage in the World Series. It was just pride back when players didn't change leagues or even teams quite as much, and it was just a way of saying, hey, our style of baseball is better than your style of baseball. Right. And because not to get too bogged down in the history of baseball, but they were like two separate leagues. The American League was its own league, and the National League was its own league. That's why they call them the senior circuit and the junior circuit. One came before the other. The NL's got much longer history, but he becomes the youngest MVP award winner, 22 years old. His homer now puts him and his father in a special class. Yeah, as they are the third father and son duo to do it, joining the Griffeys, Ken Sr. and Jr., and the Bonds, father and son duo of Bobby and Barry Bonds, who did homer in Colorado. So two of the three duo have that Colorado connection. So that was really, really awesome to see. And it kind of, again, as I heard someone kind of explaining it, baseball isn't, and this goes back to the Stephen A. Smith business, about, the face of baseball, is that I don't know that baseball has a top face, but baseball is a series of faces. It can't possibly be owned by one person, and it is at times, but it's not entirely one. And in many ways, Shohei Ohtani has been the face of baseball a little bit, but there's still plenty of stuff going on. Open up any newspaper, no matter where you're at, you're going to read something about Tatis Jr. or Vlad Guerrero Jr. or Ronald Acuna Jr. and so many of these great young ball players. Even guys here in Colorado too coming up, where you say Brendan Rodgers is finally getting his just desserts, and Wander Franco, young kid for the Tampa Bay Rays. People are paying attention to him, so it's a young man's game. So you kind of forget. Oh yeah, I forgot Vladimir Guerrero Jr. It's a really great story too, and his first All-Star game, and it's also the 200th home run too. Not that was anything I cared too much about, but you go, all right, cool. Babe Ruth hit the first. Vladimir Guerrero has the 200th. Excellent. More history for Colorado.
Yes. Just made it all the more. It's just, like you said earlier, it's like things aren't perfect, especially in baseball. I think maybe the only thing you could have asked for, and I saw some people saying, kind of agreeing here. We got Henry and Mark talking about, the excitement of the home run derby. That's maybe the only thing you could have asked for, is maybe that ball from Chris Bryant gets down. Come on, Jared Walsh, let's have that one. What are you doing making a nice sliding catch there? Let that ball get down, tie the game. It wouldn't. I think that would have made it like 5-4 probably. If it had gotten by him, it might clear the bases. Now we've got a nice 5-4 ball game, some juice going into the final innings. You can manufacture drama in the All-Star Derby the way they've got it. It will be dramatic. There's no way. You can't foresee Shohei Ohtani and Juan Soto going triple overtime, swing off, mano-y-mano.
I did.
Well, yeah, actually,
I did.
I was going to say you can,
but you can't predict that every single time, right? You're not going to get every. Right. Again, both our two guys got knocked out of the Derby. So for everything you get right, that you're brilliant. Right. Like, you talk about your wins, and let's forget our losses. So it is selective memory. You're right. You can't predict so many of the things that go on in the game. That's why you play the game, right? That's why you do it.
Somewhere turned to a buddy and went, Pete Alonso's about to hit 35 home runs in this round. No one's ever going to believe it.
But to your point about predicting, Corbin Burns comes into the game in the second inning, throws 2 innings. He started his season off by not walking a batter in the first 58 innings of the season. And what does he do? Throws 4 straight balls to Aaron Judge. No, that's not happening for the guy that has the greatest control or start to a season as far as control is concerned, and then he goes and walks. So, hey, that's why you play the game. And Tatis Jr., another exciting guy, started a 6-4-3 double play, just missed twice.
Yeah.
Once against Ohtani, and I think in the third against Kyle Gibson, and he was mic'd up, and you could tell he was a little bit peeved. They were trying to talk to him, and he was trying to have the smile on his face, but he couldn't quite do it. He's like, I should have 2 home runs here, and Vladdy's got 1 already. He was frustrated, but was a good sport. Was signing for a bunch of kids by the dugout for a few minutes. So it's great because so many of these guys get pulled, all over the place. They're wanted to talk to reporters. The kids are out there shouting their name, and they delivered as best they could in this game. And it was, like you said, it was close. Brian had 2 bases loaded opportunities late in the game, didn't get it done. And how about our guy, Colorado's guy, Germán Marquez, with the scoreless 4th inning?
That was really cool.
How great.
That was, that was one of, I would say, 8 to 10 full body goosebumps moments for me through the week. And maybe even not quite that many, but that one would, and he might have had 2 of them. It might have been actually just when he first went out there, and there wasn't as much buzz and then they announced him, and there was a big, but from our vantage point, because we were sitting up on top of the bullpen, right? So we saw him running out there right before they announced anything, either to us in the press box or to the people out in the stadium. I just saw him run out of the pen. And we knew about when he was coming in, so we were looking for it. And I hopped up and I took the video that I sent out from DNVR Rockies and all that, and just watched. And in just that moment, I was just like, oh, man, he's running out of his own bullpen, which is weird because, he runs out of there at the beginning of games, but still it's weird.
Walks out. He's not necessarily running out.
He really did just kind of saunter through and kind of look around, and take it in. And at first, because no one was going. In fact, if you look on the video that I got, he's kind of like, there's a lot of stuff going on. People are running around. He's kind of dodging stuff. There's a lot of kerfuffle. He's just kind of moving through the grounds crew and stuff. But he's looking around and he's taking it in. And then the swell happens. And then it's now pitching from your Colorado Rockies. And the place just explodes. And, you know, all the kinds of questions about how many people were Rockies fans and what was the split exactly. In that moment, everybody in the building was a Rockies fan. Everyone just wanted good things to happen for Herman. And again, how about the perfection of it? Gets a nice quick out. She needs to settle in a little bit. Then
Rafael Devers, right to the shortstop, 6-3,
right
first out. Okay, now I'm getting started.
Take it now. Now you're in. All right, cool. Now you can play a little bit. Then how about a little ground ball to the third baseman? Come on.
Yeah.
Again, you can't script this stuff. You can't. Guy could hit the ball anywhere.
The only thing that didn't work in the script that we might need to rewrite is that, you know, Marquez throws the pitch, gets the ground ball to Arenado, who throws over to first to Freddie Freeman. And we'll work on it. We'll figure that part out of the script. But yeah, gets that, and then, you know, buzzes the tower on Salvador Perez, which, you know, his native countryman from Venezuela, you know, does but gets him just to strike out too. So that just punctuates the performance.
From Salvi, like he was going to come get him for a second.
I
love Salvador Perez. I don't know if I've mentioned that a couple of times before. I want to mention it one more time, and I appreciate him just swinging through that pitch and letting Marquez strike him. No, he didn't let nothing. They had a little battle going on there. I actually think that it was a couple of foul balls. They were in a little bit of a spot, but for him to walk off, if you're only going to get one strike, again, the perfection of the moment. You're only going to get one strikeout in the inning. Get him that third one so he can pump the fist, tip the cap. Everyone's going ape. I was
big smile too. Big smile from both those guys. Like, hey, you got me. And
Marquez is usually pretty stoic between the lines, dude.
And little fun fact: Salvador Perez has played in all 89 games of the Royals this year.
Yeah,
a catcher.
Yeah,
89 hasn't missed a game. That's absurd. So that was again a low key big moment. JTR Realmuto homers. First time a Phillies player had homered in an All-Star game in 40 years. Michael Jack Schmidt. Yeah, it's just one of those interesting things. Mike Zunino homered off Taijuan Walker. I didn't think of it at the time, but as I was watching some of the game back this morning, they kind of, you know, Walker and Zunino kind of nodded at each other right before they had gotten in the box. And I go, that's right, they were teammates in Seattle for a little bit. So that was good. Zunino went, you know, right center field on that one, just got over the old barrier.
Still, that was a shot. That got out in a hurry. Zunino's a strong boy.
It was a quick game. It was 3 hours, you know, for all the switches and then even the moment, you know, to the stand up to cancer, where they take a moment and everyone's quiet. That, you know, the music that they played, it was very emotional. I mean, and then, you know, speaking of so that was a nice moment. So to have that in the middle of the game, and then it still is only 3 hours. You know, sometimes they take a little bit longer. I know in the last 8 years of the All-Star Game that the American League won, you know, 2 of them were extra inning affairs. You know, so those obviously had to have gone, you know, much longer than that. So I'd have to go back and look to see. It seemed like it was on the quicker side for the most part. But when you talk about emotion, I mean, it really all begins where it began. You know, the tribute to Hank Aaron, and the wonderful video that was voiced over by Lenny Kravitz, which I imagine also was available for anyone, you know, watching at home, and for his widow, you know, Billy Aaron, to be there. And she was just glowing, this beautiful woman, and being walked out by Freddie Freeman from Atlanta, who obviously had a relationship with Hank Aaron, and Aaron Judge right by her side, and to have that painting, which I actually saw that on display, didn't know what it was for. There was a lot of art going up and around the city. That was another great thing that the All-Star Game brought, where so many of these street artists coming out and doing things. But happened to walk by and saw the artist painting that depiction of Hank Aaron, the 17-year-old boy from Mississippi who jumps on a train to chase this dream that starts out in the Negro Leagues too, when he finally hit 715 and broke Babe Ruth's record. And so it was that just started it all off and just made for such a special night. It could have been a 1-0 game, could have been a 2-1 game. It didn't really matter what happened. You got to see the matchups: Ohtani against Tatis, Scherzer against Ohtani, and so many other ones that probably went right over our head that we might not have realized that.
Right.
That just someone at a certain fan base or someone who has a connection said, "Oh, that reminds me of something." I talking with Aaron Munoz, who is a key figure in the Rockies organization. How
Right.
I happened to notice him talking to Aaron Judge at some point on Monday before the Derby, and he said, "Yeah, we played against each other in the minor leagues," and I didn't know that there's so much history between these guys, as big as the baseball world is, for having 30 major league teams. Not to mention, again, the teams in the Winter League in Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Mexico, all that, Japan, South Korea, Australian Baseball League, for all of that, and the hundreds of minor league teams and the college programs, Division I, Division II, junior college. Baseball is a very small world. And so there are thousands of stories to have been told on Tuesday. And even not knowing all of them, it was perfection. It was perfection.
I'll tell you what it did, Patrick. Put a big old smile on my face. Hey, couldn't help myself, but it really did. Obviously, a perma smile for 4 days. It's not over. I'll let you know when it's done. But the perma smile is brought to you by our friends over at Green Mountain Dental Group, the best damn family dentistry anywhere in the Denver metro area. They are located just 15 minutes outside of downtown Denver in the Lakewood area. You just go on in there, schedule your cleaning, x-ray, and exam today. They'll hook you up with a free Sonicare toothbrush, but they'll take care of you like family, and also like great sports fans. So they can talk about stuff. They're one of the very first sponsors of DNVR. They're one of the first people who've been partners with us from the very, very beginning. So if you do need some dental work done, you can't get it done at any better place than at Green Mountain Dental Group. Also, happy to have all of my teeth because I watch but do not play rugby. Coming around big on the rugby situation. I shouldn't talk like that. I say most of those guys do seem to have most of their teeth, but they're having most of the fun. I'll also tell you that much out there. The Colorado Exos at Infinity Park is must watch sports entertainment these days. I know sports and entertainment. It's not professional wrestling. Is that weird phrase they use? That obviously it's sports, but it's remarkably entertaining. Get down there to Infinity Park. They got a sevens tournament coming up here in August 20 through the 22nd. Fast-paced rugby. They've got the Infinity Park is absolutely gorgeous. You can get out there to watch like movies and stuff like that. Also, check out the DNVR Rugby podcast with Colton Strickler, especially the most recent one featuring yours truly. That's right. I went on and talked rugby. Well, not really.
As best as you could.
I was going to say.
You said the word rugby in the middle of a bunch of other words about other things.
You all can judge how well I pretended to know rugby as an obvious newbie, but we did a really fun thing, and there are a bunch of these. You should check them out. We all like doing drafts here at DNVR, and we basically had on the board every Colorado Rockies player in history, and given some information about what kind of athletic qualities are most important for being a quality rugbyite. See, I'm really good at it. But no, yeah, just going through. And so we drafted Rockies players onto a theoretical rugby team. It was myself, Colton, and also Justin Michael. It was really, really fun. And if you're into that kind of thing, I know he's got them. I don't know if the other ones are out yet or what's coming, but there's all the other sports, basically. They're going to do this with each of the sports. And can I say that? Should I not? Oh, no, maybe I should. I'm planning on being on another one. that will be weird, really weird, but a lot of fun. So I don't want to blow it if he hasn't promoted that yet, but I think Justin and Colton and I are going to do another one of those drafts. So be a rugby fan. It's fun. It's so much fun. All right, Patrick, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, the All-Star Game happened. That was pretty cool. Remember when that happened?
There were some people we talked about, those behind the scenes that helped make the event wonderful. Well, there were people that were incognito that were there at the ballpark. Dante Bichette, of course, was there back to see his son Bo there, kind of kept that under wraps. And a couple people noticed him. And
low-key about it.
I'd actually never met him in person before. And our guy Manny, at Manny on MLB, introduced me to him. And so it was nice. And they caught up a little bit. Also spotted behind the American League dugout, R.A. Dickey. Just like, that's R.A. Dickey. What do you know? And I'm sure there were probably a lot of other people there. Speaking of people that maybe you were surprised to be there or surprised to throw out the first pitch, a football player.
Yeah.
Because even in the biggest moment that the Rockies have had in a little while, a couple of years at least, and may have for a long while, the Broncos take center stage. Man, that's something. So Peyton, but he bounced it. So maybe that's something. I don't know what. I guess Todd was supposed to coach him up. Did an okay job. Not sure what happened there, but all right. Hey, Todd Helton's there. You know what? I imagine it was probably supposed to be Larry Walker. Hey, future Hall of Famer, get a taste. Larry unfortunately wasn't able to make it out due to some unforeseen circumstances. So yeah, look, they did the best they could. I'm still saying it's perfect. Yeah. Just throwing out a little, a little jab there that, you had the Broncos taking center stage. I did hear that Ohtani and Peyton had a little interaction too at some point that some people call it, where Ohtani was like almost like mimicking, a football pass. And so they had a brief little exchange, which is pretty neat. But yeah, they were there, and that was an interesting little moment of okay. Two Tennessee boys.
Right. That was really interesting to me. I was like, Todd Helton cannot wait for the day that Carlos Gonzalez or somebody else becomes the face of this franchise for things like this, because he doesn't hate it, but it's so very clearly not his thing. I was like, he'd been out there walking toward the mound. They got out there to the mound. Then he turned around, saw where he was, and finally cracked a smile. I was like, Todd.
Well, don't forget, he's got to walk out of his house and into his car and then drive to the airport. Like, it's so rough. But you're right. You're absolutely right. Like, that's what the Rockies need more of. And I mean, we were promised somewhat of a Hall of Fame in McGregor Square. We've yet to see it. There are some things on display. It was my first time going over to the Raleigh Hotel. Yeah. I imagine you might have had a chance. Didn't really get to look at all the stuff they had there, but that was some cool stuff there. A big baseball vibe inside the Raleigh Hotel in the lobby. So definitely recommend you do that. We talked about the press conference and how, that's a cool space. If you have a hard time getting a ticket to a Rockies game, which you probably shouldn't have for a few years, but if you want to save a couple bucks, you could also hang out there as well.
Or if you're not going to Rockies games on principle or just whatever, that's,
and you want to give your money to them anyway, but feel like you're
but I'm not going in. I'm not letting people know I was there.
One other cool thing. So, they had the 44 out in right field. So that was a brief little addition, right? They had All-Star Game out in center field in the grass. Those guys worked just countless hours, slept at the stadium, and even on, I think it was Monday, early on Monday, like around noon, talking with one of the groundskeepers, and he already had a glossed over look, like, I'm spent. And I was like, you have a day and a half, 2 days. And then I don't know if you noticed, but after the game, they went and they immediately erased the graphic in center field. I was like, mow, and they just mowed it. I was like, you're not even going to leave it up but they probably hadn't cut it for a couple days. The maintenance on the field is absurd. So they added the 44 in right field. That was beautiful. Yeah. And there was another thing that happened that I don't think the cameras picked up. I don't think they talked about it. I don't know if anyone noticed. If you were at the game, maybe you did. They should have splurged a little bit more, but it was this, and I caught it down on the field right as it was happening. There was a gentleman who came through with a wheelbarrow full of purple sand, like little, purple rocks. I imagine, obviously, they were dyed. There aren't very many naturally forming purple, rocks like that.
Wild.
Purple calcite, amethyst is a purple gemstone, but. Yeah, saw that, and I was like, okay, it almost looks like that sand, when you go to a fair and you have like a Coke bottle and you I'm going to put like a little bit of the orange in. Okay, now I'm going to put in blue. Orange again, and now I'm going to do a white. So you had the purple, and you couldn't tell because there was only one wheelbarrow, but they put it all around home plate and a little bit up the lines, up first and third base line. Right. And so I told you about it in right field, and you still couldn't tell. It was only because I guess I have to trust your word,
right?
Which you did, of course.
Yeah, of course.
But you couldn't tell, right?
No, right. Until you pointed it out, I really didn't notice. But once you're there, it's like, yeah, okay, I see it different. And even then, it's like it almost looked kind of like
wet.
Wet, yeah.
Yeah, of course. It absolutely
once
looked
you
like
pointed it out, I could see there was a difference between the texture and
so
color.
Subtle.
Yeah.
And so on the infield single that Marcus Semien hit that would have been in the second inning. Judge had walked. Devers hit that double right over Freeman's head. Freeman was also very funny. He was mic'd up along with Tatis Jr.
Yeah.
And Freeman
I'm
said,
have to
"Oh
go
God,
back get the early mic'd up guys. I got most of the Liam Hendricks stuff afterwards.
I haven't seen that. I'm excited to.
Haven't?
No,
it's the best.
But Freeman was like, "Oh, I'm worried about Judge. Judge is gonna make me look small." And then sure enough, 4 pitches, like, "Oh crap!"
And
Freeman even said in kind of a low key, you put Judge almost on blast. He didn't mean to. It was like, "Yeah, we got some good teeth over here," and Freeman's got some chiclets himself, and Judge got his teeth worked on, and so I don't know if they have the same dentist or something, but kind of pointed that out. So Devers hits the double. Runners on second and third. Arenado's back. Little dribbler, tries to barehand it, can't get it done. Infield single. I noticed on the replay they slowed it down. Had to get a screenshot of it. Here you can see a little bit of purple.
You've
got the purple on the baseball right there on the sweet spot. There is purple on the baseball. So if you don't believe me, there's the evidence of the not sticky substance, but it was going on, smashed into the dirt. So that's cool. That means there's a couple of baseballs, and I don't know if that was the idea behind it. Again, it would have been great. I don't. With everything being so last minute, stuff like this probably happens all the time. That's the other thing too, is with this being, such a short turnaround as far as planning everything. We don't know how great it would have been, had it been 2 years. So we can only speculate. And to a degree, it is a little bit fruitless to do so. So we can still say it's perfect. But I'm wondering if
they had purple dirt, they had purple carpet. They were taking care of some details.
That was cool. That was cool with the purple carpet. That was very unique because a lot of teams do have red in it.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have the red carpet for that. You're not gonna go navy. You're in St. Louis. You're not gonna have a navy carpet that just looks like, a carpet. So that was really special. I love that. That was a cool touch. But had they gotten all purple around, it really would have popped.
Yeah.
And there's probably some game used balls, like pretty much any ball put into play. Throw that out, slap a authentication sticker on it. Let's put it up for sale for $200, whatever it is. So there's probably baseballs out there. If you go and look, and you're gonna go purple. Why is this baseball purple? Now you know why.
Now you know. And Will is vouching for Hendricks' post-game interview as well, so I'll have to go and watch that. I caught a couple of them. There's our guy, Davis. I put you over earlier, so make sure you go back and listen to that. But it was great running into you as well, man. I was down there for a couple of the interviews during the game until I realized I'm missing the All-Star game. I'm going back upstairs. But it actually was really cool to hang out while a couple of Maxes came into the interview room. Scherzer and Muncy, and really put over the city of Denver. I mean, really given the opportunity to say, yeah, no, it's been nice. They've done a really great job here. We appreciate it, and move on with their day, particularly guys. And I know you hate it because he kills you. And and it sucks. And I'm with you. Like, Max Muncy drives me crazy. He was fantastic. He really, really put over the city of Denver. Everything that the fans had done, even the way they booed him. I don't think I tweeted this part out, but he was like, yeah, we were kind of wondering whether or not they were going to get into it. And again, your question, how many Rockies fans are really there? Well, the ones who were there who weren't happy with the Dodgers and the Padres and the Giants, let them know. They booed the division opponents the way you're supposed to. Though Jake Cronenworth, I love that they didn't have any problems with Jake Cronenworth, but
yeah, he got off the easiest for sure.
Fernando Tatis Jr. was too cool. So I like that the fans too were like not going to boo him. But Manny Machado, they just gave it all to him.
Ooh. Also a former Dodger too. So
right.
Yeah, but Manny hates the Dodgers. It doesn't matter. You were one of them.
Yeah.
And on the flip side, you talk about those goosebump moments with Marquez doing what he did. Nolan Arenado, 5th standing ovation in as many games. That was great. He got choked up after the game. Salvi Perez, he didn't do the Elias Diaz full gimmick. He wasn't tipped off by his manager. He was kind of like, let's go. And then eventually by the 10th second, and Arenado took his helmet off. It's like, oh, this is a thing? Cool. And then he stepped out, and that prolonged it. Again, that's a great moment. And because, again, we know, Rockies fans know the ovation you gave him back on July 1st. This year, did the baseball world notice? Maybe to a degree, but now they see, it doesn't matter if you did it before or if you did it 20 times. They said, wow, look at that. You took care of your guy who was here for you. And, in a weird way, hearing him talk after the game about how special it was and seeing him again on the brink of tears and getting choked up, almost, because he talks about being remembered, and which is almost an extension of appreciated. Right. And I think, to a degree, it's hard to feel fully appreciated, because again, he's appreciated by the baseball world. Again, you get awards and all of those things, but how do you get appreciated by your fans when they cheer for you and they're supposed to cheer for you? And you're supposed to measure from decibels, and right. You go to StatCast, how much louder were they for this thing than that? You can't really know. And so I think now he knows. He really knows how Denver feels about him. It almost made me think he might get the Matt Holliday treatment. He may come back. He may finish in the purple pinstripes. Again, that's a long way. It's a long ways to go. But it did make me think, what? I wonder if maybe deep down he's putting a pin in this idea of, what? I want to go back there eventually. I got a lot of work to do. I got seven more years, with the Cardinals, or if he opts out, we'll see what happens. But you know what? I need to come back, because they do remember. They did appreciate me. And you know what? They celebrated me. And so you know what? I think maybe I owe them a little something else. And that might be, signing a one-day contract with the Rockies, whatever it is. It made me think that for the first time, right? Why would you? It just happened. He just left. But it made me think, man, this has really made an impact on him. Don't get rid of those 28 jerseys just yet.
Yeah, right.
He might be coming back.
And that really goes to this question here from Real Coorsy Cat and the ongoing conversation, right, about, so is it official now that Denver is a baseball town? Well, first of all, Denver's always been a baseball town. Yes, it's always been a football town first, but it's always been a great baseball town, even before the Colorado Rockies existed. But one of the big reasons why I wanted this game to come here so badly, the first and foremost really was the big reason why it needed to, honestly, and that was to showcase to the world. And there was a big conversation going on last night and clarifying and educating some people about how we vote here in Colorado. And that's how everyone should vote everywhere. And that's the biggest, most important thing. So that was A+ there. But then the next biggest reason why I wanted it to come here was to show the world that this difference where, they're pissed at Dick Monfort. They're not coming out to Rockies games right now. But that was a Rockies crowd at that All-Star game. Sure, there were people there who were fans of all the teams and lots of people who came in. But even, John Boy was talking about when he came on the show, it's not like too many people. Some people will travel for the All-Star game, but really, it's going to be a minority of the people there. And they did all of the things right. They showed the world. They booed all the people they were supposed to boo. They cheered all the people they were supposed to cheer. They recognized the great stories of this year. They lifted up Trey Mancini. They chanted for Shohei Ohtani. They gave Nolan Arenado 7,000 standing ovations, each one longer than the next, eventually bringing the man to near tears. And I agree with Patrick, even showing him that the fans here, maybe you didn't fully realize how much they appreciated you. Not in a I'm not saying that in a negative way. I'm saying sometimes we have those moments in life where we go, oh, wow, it really did mean that much to them. It really did. And so, yeah, I thought that all of this was a great showing for that exact thing, that, yeah, Denver is a baseball town. We're chanting Ohtani. We're lifting up Trey Mancini, some dude from the Orioles who most people never heard of, becomes a great story. And Rockies fans, yes, all of the All-Star Games fans, but the largest driving force behind all of that, as you walked around, Rockies jerseys outnumbered other jerseys in the crowd.
Statistically proven now.
Yeah.
Statistically proven. The guys over at Cut 4 did write an article. I happened to see that. Yeah, I saw it, and then our friend Renee actually tweeted the little graphic where they went for it was probably Friday and Friday. It's a weekend. I'm taking Sunday, Monday, Tuesday as Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Like that's how it feels. But no, for the Derby, I think went around and counted every single team, and it was like far and away the most was Arenado jerseys, both Rockies and Cardinals.
See the graphic somewhere. Okay,
yeah. And I'll have to dig that up. But it was it was a nice little bar graph of all the different jerseys and the teams that were represented, and kind of like you were saying, trying to get one from every. Yeah. I saw a couple. The young lady had on a Whit Merrifield Royals jersey. He had on a Bo Jackson jersey. Yeah. Someone had a Mark Burley jersey, and I didn't do it on for the Futures game, but once it was the Derby, and I realized, like, yeah, this is just a baseball convention. It's a celebration. Every time I saw a jersey I loved, I was like, nice jersey, little pat on the back. Yep. With the baby blue Kirby Puckett, nice jersey. The Burley, nice jersey. Yep. Dale Murphy from Atlanta style, boom, nice jersey. It was just so wonderful.
Yeah. So I want to leave, because I do have a few thoughts, and I think we'll leave this for our next episode on maybe some ways to improve the game moving forward. One thing I do want to have out soon is I think that baseball game may have fully converted me to banning the shift entirely. So we'll have to get
that was
we'll have that conversation. But yeah, I did just want to finish this one out with since we're just in this energy and in this space and talking about the positivity of it, and note one potential for those of you that have been very, very frustrated and angry, particularly at the Rockies and Dick Monfort, and you were worried about any of this being like kind of a bonus or a good thing for him or whatever. And we've talked a lot about baseball culture, which it is in some ways.
It is, but let's not lose sight of the bigger picture a little bit.
I actually think it's a good thing that it's a good thing for him, because he'll have more stuff to do with your team. But anyway, the other part of this that we've talked about is the growing of the culture, right? And the second generation Rockies fans, and more than that, baseball fans. And what just happened over the last couple of days here in our neighborhood, and not just the people that got to walk through the gates, is lifelong hardcore baseball fans were created. And those people, some of them are 5 years old, and so it's going to take them a while for their impact to start, taking. Some of them are 10, some of them are 13, some of them are 15. And so in 5 years, they're going to be the people in college reading all the most advanced sabermetrics. The next generation's always ahead of the previous generation, so they'll have the best new ideas about how to put the pressure on Dick Monfort or whoever the new GM is at the time. There will be a much better, smarter, well-educated, deeply cultured baseball fandom here that's only going to continue to grow from this moment. So if your ultimate goal really is Rockies need to be held accountable, whatever that means to you, these are the people who do that. You need to have the people who care enough and are enough of them and are well enough educated. And that comes out of moments like this. I went to the All-Star Game. I was 11 years old, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. hit a ball. And I never saw it land. I never saw it came down in my mind. The ball. That was true. I did not see that baseball come down. I turned to the reporter behind me. Said, did you see it? We all went, let's assume it didn't. Let's just assume it didn't. Because it's magic. That's what it was, baseball magic for 4 or 5 days. And there are going to be people who become just the best baseball and Rockies fans out of all of this. And that, other than the voting thing, that's the big win.
It's a big win. Yeah. And as we've been saying, Rockies fans showed up in droves, and going back to the jerseys seen at the All-Star Game, 100 Arenado jerseys that were Rockies Arenado jerseys, 22 were Cardinals. Second most was a tie between, well, of course, Shohei Ohtani, but Charlie Blackmon. So Charlie Blackmon, there were 39 spotted. And then fourth was Trevor Story. So, hey, that's fantastic to see that. There were 25, Todd Helton. So he was on that list. He was seventh most. Eighth most, Troy Tulowitzki with 24. Then Judge and Tatis, because they're not as memorable or special as Troy Tulowitzki,
Quite.
But then even for the Rockies ones, 17 Larry Walker jerseys, 17 Cargo jerseys, 16 Germán Marquez jerseys. So that was really cool to see. Griffey, there were a lot of Griffey jerseys. He had the most of a retired player, 13 Jeter and 11 David Ortiz. There were also some Sam Hilliard jersey spotted. You go, okay, cool. I didn't see that. Justin Lawrence vest was spotted. LaTroy Hawkins, okay, probably someone in his family. He was there all weekend. A Brad Hawp, okay. A David Dahl, and then there are two.
No, sorry.
Yeah, Johan Flond. I mean, we've been crapping on him for the duration of this podcast. But two that are relatively obscure. One more than the other. I would say just missing out in the penultimate spot and second to the least notable, Chad Bettis. I didn't even see a lot of Chad Bettis jerseys in the last 4 years. I didn't see a lot of Chad Bettis jerseys. And then the least, maybe most surprisable one, someone polished off an Ian Stewart jersey.
Let's go.
Yeah.
What?
Right? So, all right.
If you are or know this person, have them contact us immediately.
Yeah, there's a free break brew with your name on it.
We just need to talk to them. We just need to know who they are. We'll send them a sticker pack. I don't care. Have them on the show. That's amazing.
We should see if we can get these, get a promo of all right, there's a player of the week. And if you have a jersey with this person, you get a free brew or Strava craft coffee. But we're going to make you earn it. It's going to be Alexi Amarista. And then,
right.
Because I don't.
Selfie in your Alexi Amarista.
And if you want to go on MLB.com and get a customized Alexi Amarista jersey so that, if you can get it in time for that, I mean, that's not very financially savvy since that's going to run you at least in the $80 range. And you could buy a lot more for that at the bar. But you know what? Go crazy. Have at it. Good on everyone for showing up, showing out. It doesn't matter what jersey you wore. If you had a Rockies shirt or a jersey, wear it. Celebrate. That's fine. Right. We're not knocking you. We're celebrating you because there was so much to celebrate. And frankly, I could talk about this for a whole other hour, and
I know, right?
We might in a couple of days. We'll see, and especially reach out to us on social media and all that because we want to hear your story. That was part of what made this so great was to know that there were other people that were having those moments, and how if we were able to contribute that and see people or meet up with them or give them little gifts like, hey, I had an extra thing here. I made a trade with someone. I said, hey, I have a keychain from a 25th anniversary keychain from the Rockies I had from a couple years ago. Made a fun little swap, and it just magical. Baseball magic, like you said. Baseball magic.
We will talk more about this, but Patrick just gave me a great idea. We really should do that So tweet at us on social media at Drew Creasman, at Patrick D. Lyons, at Makayla E. Perkins, or at DNVR_Rockies with your experience, whatever it was. You want to send us pictures you took, please send us those. If you can fit in a tweet, send us a tweet of just, I'm at so-and-so, whatever, really quick. Let us know. We'll go through a bunch of these on the show. If it's a longer story, if you've got a great story to tell us, email me, Drew at thednvr.com, Patrick at thednvr.com. Tell us your All-Star Game story. Even if it's a novel, I might have to do some editing and go through whatever. If it's a great story, we want to hear it. We're not done celebrating this whole thing. We're going to do at least one more show on this, but hit us up with anything and everything that you saw, that you did, that you took part in over these last couple of days, because we want to know. We want to hear about it. We want to be able to share it with everybody, because everyone had their own experience. Everyone brought their own set of eyes to this thing. And so many people out there doing, like you said, magic from all different angles. So we want to hear about all of that from you. We'll do that on an upcoming episode. That'll be really, really fun. Send those to us on the social media. Do make sure you're still subscribed or subscribed again to the DNVR.com. You get all that written content. You get access to the Discord channel where we're chatting about anything and everything under the sun 24/7. Probably going to wrap up Loki before too long whenever I get around to doing that. So we'll start talking Loki in there, I'm sure. Movies and TV and food and all kinds of stuff in the Discord channel. So come hang out with us in there and on social media and on all the places where you know that you can. We appreciate you all so much for being part of this process and for continuing to be just the absolute best baseball fans in the world. We promise we will continue to be absolutely Patrick Lyons and Drew Creasman. And until next time, we will see you at the ballpark.